Why was Cinderella so bad at soccer? Because she was afraid of the ball. Oh no. All right. Stormy Weather Podcast. Take one. Hey guys, I'm Sarah with the H, and this is your Stormy Weather Podcast. Um, Sorry for the bad joke. No, I'm not, because I'm gonna do this every episode. I love horrible jokes. So either laugh with me or leave a better joke in the comments. All right. Hi guys. This is my first episode, so this is gonna be extremely awkward. I'm in a room talking to myself, staring at myself in the camera, and this is the most I've looked at myself in a mirror my whole entire life. So, all right. Anyways, for you who are just joining me, which is everybody, because again, it's my first podcast, I bet you're wondering, why did she name her podcast Stormy Weather Podcast? Well, have you ever felt like you were walking alone down a road and there was this cloud that was just over your head, just pouring down on you and only you? Well, that's what this podcast is about. It's about life and how much it sucks sometimes and how to get through those storms, how to survive, how to just get through it. So, yeah, that's literally what I want to do. I want to be here and give advice and help you guys get through the storms while I also try to get through my own storms. So, let's get started. Um, First off, a little bit about who I am. I'm Sarah with the H. Yes, the H is necessary because it stands for hello, because I'm trying to get your attention. um, and let's see. I am 36. My birthday was February 2nd, which just passed. This podcast was supposed to come out officially on February 2nd, and it didn't because I'm a procrastinator. Well, I was going through some things too. My phone was garbage. I had got a new phone and I had a whole bunch of technical issues with it, and nobody wanted to help me fix it. So luckily, I am smart enough to figure out how to fix it myself, but that was a struggle, and that took up most of my February. And I know you're like, it took a whole month to fix your phone. Yes, yes, it did. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing, and customer service didn't care about the struggles, but we got it figured out, and I'm back in the game, guys. So I'm going to be talking through this episode, and it's going to sound like what I would have been saying last month, but we're in March, so it might be a little confusing, but just bear with me, okay? So let's see. I'm reading my list of things to talk about because, again, this is my first episode. It's going to be awkward. To those of you who are listening, you have no idea what I'm doing when I'm looking down, but for those of you who are watching, bear with me, guys. Okay, let's see. Intro, welcome, thank you for coming. All right, I did that. Thank you for coming and welcome to the podcast. Step two. Okay, disclaimer as I clean my glasses. Guys, I am not a psychiatrist. Okay, I am not a life coach. I am not a professional advice giver outer person. I just like bossing people around. And that's what I'm going to do in this podcast. If it goes well and you guys, write me and ask me for advice, I'm going to give you advice. I'm going to tell you what I think about your struggles and stuff that you go through. And you have the right to listen to me or not listen to me, okay? But if you listen to me and it goes terribly wrong, that's your fault, okay? Because I'm not a paid professional. One, you didn't give me any money, so if you listen to me and it goes wrong, it sucks for you, okay? But if you do send me money and it still goes wrong, I'm sorry. I'm not right all the time, but I'm right a lot of the time. So, there you go. I'm just putting out that disclaimer now, because this podcast is going to be about me giving advice about struggles in your life and my life, telling you what I did when I went through things, telling you what I think that you should do if you go through things, you know? So, excuse me, big old jug of water. I don't want you guys to, you know, try to sue me because my advice didn't work for you. Okay, now that that's out of the way, um, let's start this podcast off with some positive affirmations. What are positive affirmations, you say? Well, positive affirmations are positive statements that you say to yourself to get rid of the negative energy that is swarming in our lives. So, for me, this is my first podcast. So, my positive affirmations today are: I am a great advice giver. I am wise. I am entertaining. I am inspirational. Doesn't that feel good? Don't you feel all good and gooey all over? Some positive affirmations you can say to yourself is: I am beautiful. I am strong. I am interesting, etc., etc. Look them up. Positive affirmations are just things that you say to motivate yourself, to make yourself feel good, and to remind yourself that you're great. We need to say these things because, you don't always have somebody say positive things to you. So say them to yourself. I am, my lip gloss is popping. Again, you can't see me. If you can't see me, I just put on some Carmex and it gives me that shine that I want and need when I don't have my lip gloss. All right, moving on. Let's see. All right, so today's topic is going to be starting over. Um, Again, I don't know if I said this already, but this podcast was supposed to air February 2nd on my birthday, but yeah, that didn't happen. So this was supposed to be about me starting over on, my special day. And, because that your birthday is like the beginning of the new year too. You take that day and you just live your best life. You do your thing the way that you want to. It's all about you. And that's also a day that you can just be fresh. We have so many days that we like to start over on. The beginning of the month, you get to start over. The beginning of the year, you get to start over. Every Monday is a day to start over. I mean, yes, technically every day is a day to start over, because if you woke up another day, then you're starting your life over again. And yeah, the day that I was going to start over was on my birthday for my podcast, but that didn't work out. So we're starting over on March 1st and pretending like it's the same. But I'm good with that, as long as we keep trying to start over and keep trying to strive forward. That's all that matters. From age 0, 1, 9 months to, you know, your last breath here on earth. As long as you keep trying, keep moving forward, keep going, there's no time, there's no, end to what you can do. A lot of the biggest celebrities didn't make it big until they were 40. I will list some names here or here or here later so that you guys can know, some people that started late. But made it, because age doesn't matter. You can start over at any time. You can begin again at any time. You're a reborn Christian, baptized. You can be a reborn virgin, if you're a celibate and you try to start over your life and stuff like that. You can be fresh and new at any given point if you choose to start over. So that's what we're doing here. I'm talking about starting over because life has been crazy the last few years. COVID came in and knocked a lot of people out on their butts. It closed down a lot of companies. It messed up a lot of lives. People struggled like we didn't know we could struggle ever in our life. And things sucked for a long time. And 2023, it's kind of getting a little bit better, but stuff is still crazy. We're starting to crawl again, and starting to see the light, starting to feel like life can exist, again. And um, you know, it's been rough, but here we are starting over, trying again. Um, you know, Aside from COVID, I went through divorce in 2022. I moved from New Jersey to Missouri for a while, from Missouri to California. How I ended up there is another story. Um, let's see, I lost my dad then too. I went through all that stuff at the same time: divorce, moving, losing my dad. Life was just a whirlwind for a long time, whirlwind of emotions and stuff like that. And in 2022, I shut down. I was just like, I'm not doing anything. I, questioned the career choice that I had. I wanted to open up a bakery, a restaurant or something and just run some type of business. And I question, like, is that something I want to do? Am I still motivated to do that? Like, who do I want to be? 2022, I questioned my whole entire life. And I was just like, you know what? I have to get myself together. So I started making a list and I said, these are all things that I need to think about. Getting insurance, getting the car. Do I want to own a home? Do I want to own a restaurant? Can I and do I want to find love again? Can I handle a relationship? Who am I? What kind of daughter do I want to be to my mother who's lost her child? How do I be there for her? How do I be there for my brothers, while they're going through the things they're going through? How do I build myself up? How do I be a good friend? I've questioned a lot of things about everything. And I was like, I don't want to think about these things because life already sucked. 2022 sucked so bad that I was just like, I don't want to think about anything. So I made a list of things that I needed to figure out. And I said, these are going to be 2023 Sarah's problems. And 2023 came along and I was just like, you know what I should do? I should start a podcast because that seems like a great idea. I should start a podcast and then I can talk about the struggles I'm going through. And maybe while I'm going through the struggles that I'm going through, I can help other people. I don't know. So that's this situation here is part of my starting over and figuring out how to check off some of these 2023 Sarah's problems. So all right, guys, let's get into it. Let's talk about how to start over. At first, let me take another swig of my water. When you're talking, your throat gets all crusty, and I don't want to be sitting here all crusty throat. You guys are gonna be like, ugh, you sounded like a bullfrog, and that's not attractive. You ain't gonna want to listen to my podcast if I sound like a bullfrog. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over 10 steps to starting over, how to start over, and how to, just reframe your life if that is something that you're wanting to do. Step 1, start with reflection. And what I mean by that is just go over and evaluate your life. Like, where am I at right now? Who am I and who do I want to be? Like, how do I feel about who I am? Excuse me. Because when I decided to start over, I was in a relationship that wasn't working for me. And I was at a job that, even though I enjoyed, it wasn't something that I felt like I wanted to grow into. I was making decent money and I was surviving, but I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. I wasn't in a field that I felt like I could grow and become who I wanted to be. I was living in a space that I wasn't sure was the space that I needed to be in. So I took myself out of that situation and I said, okay, now that I'm out of the situation, what do I want to do with myself? Who do I want to be? Who's this girl I see in this mirror? Who is she? Do you like who she is? If you don't like who she is, then how are we going to make her better? And I didn't like who I was. I didn't like who I was becoming. I had lost myself and forgot who I was, forgot who I wanted to be. So I decided that I need to work on that. So step one, reflection. Checked it off the list. Step two, work on the courage to change. And give yourself permission to change, because it's it's hard to change. It's so hard. Those of you who've been on a diet, you want better for yourself. You want to be healthy. You want to um, lose weight or avoid diabetes. You want to have a six pack. You want to have that summer body. And it's hard, because then you have to stop eating all the junk you want, or you have to start exercising, or both. And it sucks, because change or starting over, it doesn't always have to be your whole entire life. Sometimes it can be like a small, simple-ish change. And starting a diet can be that change. Starting a new career, starting school, or changing career paths, stuff like that. Those are forms of starting over. They're you upgrading your life, you seeing that you're not happy with where you're at and wanting to do better, and how do you get there? It's a form of that. And sometimes we have to work up the courage to do that, because you don't just change overnight. You have to believe in yourself to do it, and you have to be brave enough to do it, to do something different, to start over. It's confusing. It's hard. You have to change a lot of things. You have people around you who are going to question you and wonder why you're doing this, and like, why are you trying to be better? Why are you trying to change this? Like, why can't you just be happy with what you're doing and stuff like that? So it doesn't only take courage, but giving yourself permission to do it, to say, like, it's okay to do this. I don't have to be this person all the time. I can be better. There's nothing wrong with wanting better for yourself. So, you know, just work on that. Put that on your list of things to do when starting over. Okay. Step three, research your next move. Okay. If your next move is going to school to become a nurse, and at whatever age you're doing it, fresh out of high school, or in your 30s, in your 50s, whatever, you want to do this, and you're like, I want to do this because I want to help people and I want to heal people, or whatever like that. That is the path that you're deciding to take. So look into it. Look into different schools. Look into what kind of nurse you want to be. How deep into the nursing program you want to go, because you can start from the beginning and end up being a nurse practitioner. You can be whatever, RN, LPN. There's so many different levels of these things. You want to become a mechanic, and you want to work on cars, or do you want to work on motorcycles? Well, how, look into these things. How much does this person make? Or, where can I take this career to? Can I travel with this career? Can I, do this for older people or younger people, or the cars, what kind of cars you want to work on, and stuff like that, etc. You need to research. You need to look into what you want to do, and how to go along with it. Look up other people who've done it. Look up advice for that. Join a Facebook group and become friends with people who are into the thing that you're trying to set your path on, so that you can understand that world better. Okay? Step 4, find a coach or a therapist. Depending on what you're trying to do, water break. Depending on what you're trying to do with your life, you can need either or. A life coach is somebody who can help guide you along the path that you're trying to take. Like me, for example, I have plans, aspirations, ideas on what I want to do, but sometimes I procrastinate. And by sometimes, I mean all the times I procrastinate, and I have trouble staying focused on what I want to do, or I question what I want to do and why I want to do it. And having a life coach kind of helps guide you along that path, kind of keeps you focused, somebody that you can contact and say, yeah, you're doing a great job, or yeah, that's a great idea. Here are some ideas on how to do that. Here are some steps you can take to focus on that. Like, I got a life coach, and I told her about what I wanted to do with my career, and also told her about the diet that I was trying, pretending like I'm on. I fail and succeed every single day, but I can talk to her, I can contact her and say, hey, I tried fasting and that didn't work. Should I try something else? And she's like, you can eat what you want, but eat less. Or, you don't have to fast. You can do this, or you can exercise like that, or da, da, da. She helps guide me because, life coach doesn't have to be just on certain things. It can be on everything. But they can guide you on different things and just help keep you motivated. Sometimes it's hard where you don't have a friend or a family member that will support you in the way that you need to be supported in, because sometimes we struggle and we fail and we fall with what we're trying to do. And when we struggle and fall, eventually people will start like, you ain't gonna make, or, oh, you ain't about to stick to this diet, or, oh, you don't really want to do that. Sometimes you have people like that in your life and they're giving you a negative energy. They're not trying to, or they're not trying to hurt you. But, eventually people get tired of you saying you're going to do the same thing every day. I'm on a diet. And then you're eating French fries 5 minutes later. People are going to be like, all right, yeah, whatever, just whatever. But a life coach, they're going to keep believing you and keep focusing on you and keep you going no matter what. Mainly because they get paid for it, but they also care. Okay. So that's the life coach aspect of it. Or depending on how deep your river flows, you might need a therapist, a psychiatrist, somebody who can help you get through the emotional trauma that you're doing. If you're going through deeper things, leaving a toxic relationship, abusive relationship, PTSD with anything, healing that you have to do, anything that is messing you up mentally that you don't know how to get past, excuse me, hiccups, that you're struggling through, that you need better, deeper guidance from, you might need to find a therapist, a psychiatrist, or whatever, to help you get through those things, to help you find a deeper meaning of whatever you're going through. So, they can help you let go of situations. They can help you get through the issues of your past, because sometimes, the reason why you can't step forward is because your past is holding on to you, and sometimes you don't even know that you haven't let something go. You could have this roadblock in front of you and you have no idea why it's there or why you're scared of something, and that's because something in your past is harming you. And so sometimes you need therapy to get through those things. So that's another thing that you need to look into when starting over. All right, step 5. Check in with yourself. I know that might sound weird, but checking in with yourself while you're in the process of starting over is very important, because sometimes we think that we want to do something or change something, and halfway through we're like, no, actually I was good where I was at, or I don't want to make this change. Like, if you're in school and freshman year you go to school and you're a biology major, and you're going through and you're taking classes and you're hitting your sophomore year and you're like, I don't care about biology. That's stupid. Biology is dumb stuff. What am I going to do with that? So then you switch over to graphic design or music or something like that. Because now you want to be an actor, or you want to work on TV, or you want to create computer programs or something like that. You have to check in with yourself. You have to think about what you're wanting to do with your life, and if that's still the path that you're wanting to take. Every step forward that you make, you might choose left when you could have turned right. And unless you check in with yourself and you think about it, you don't know where you're wanting to go. The same thing with doing your hair. You make a drastic decision or a thought out decision that you want to dye your hair blonde. And the first day you do it, you're like, what the heck was I thinking? Oh my God, I lost my mind. This does not look good on me. I'm crazy or whatever like that. And go a week or whatever with it because you're like, your hairstylist like, you got to give it a little bit of time before we change it again because your hair will fall out, whatever. And you go through that week or so with your hair all blonde and crazy to you, but now people are starting to look at you different, like, hey, how are you doing? Or they're um checking you different, and you start checking yourself in the mirror and you're like, dang, you know what? I do look good. And, you start partying and hanging out and your personality changes and you find out blondes do have more fun. And you realize, your opinion on things has changed. You feel differently towards it. You have to check in with yourself and you realize that you did this. And so now your hairstylist is like, hey, you got an appointment open, and you're like, nah, I'm staying with the blonde stuff. This is where I want to be. So, you know, always check in with yourself consistently. Think about what you're doing, what you're going through, and be okay with the fact that sometimes things change. Our taste buds change. Add in the number of how often your taste buds change in your life. But your taste buds change several times in your life. Um, from when you're born to when you're older. And um, you start to like things that you didn't like before. I hated strawberries when I was younger, and now I can almost tolerate them. The seeds still freak me out. But I can eat them better now than I could when I was younger. I used to tell people I was allergic to strawberries all the time, so that they wouldn't give me strawberry ice cream at birthday parties. Like that little 3-pack of Neapolitan ice cream. I would be like, I'm allergic to strawberries. I can't have that. So they would give me just the chocolate or and vanilla. Or like when I got my hair washed with like some strawberry scented shampoo, I was like, it burns. Just extra for no reason. And now I'm like, I like the smell of strawberries, and I can eat strawberries sometimes. Um, we change. Things change. I was a troublesome child. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to whoever I lied to when I was younger. But I also blame my mother because she lied with me. She told people that I was allergic to strawberries because she didn't want me to have to suffer and eat something I didn't want to eat either. So, anywho, so yeah, check in with yourself and check out these changes that we're going through. Step 6, when you go through all these paths and you start to make these changes, you get the therapy, you check in with yourself, you figure out what changes you want to make, and you're brave enough to make them. Now it's time to start living. Start living your life in whatever aspect that you're wanting to live in the life that you're trying to change. If you're going to switch majors in school, now we're going towards that major and we're doing work for that and we're dreaming about becoming that person. If you're switching careers, we're working towards that. If you're getting if you're searching for a home, now we're looking for places to live. You're dating more. If you are starting over in relationships, you're traveling. If you're starting over with your life and you're just trying to be braver and you're trying to live more, if you're trying to be free, do things, live your life, go out and do things in that path that you want to be in so that you enjoy yourself. If it's dieting, then you're walking and you're getting out and you're enjoying the fresh air. You're finding new ways to try to exercise and do the things that you want to do. Live your life the way that you want to, whatever aspect it is, in the form of starting over. Step 8 is a hard one. This is mixed in with the therapy one. Apologize, forgive, and accept. When you're starting over, sometimes things that we're healing from, things that we're changing, things that we're moving forward from in our past might be something that's traumatic to you, something that's a trauma. If you're leaving a toxic relationship, you have to move on from the struggles, the bad part of that relationship. Sometimes if you were the one who was handing out the toxicity, you might have to apologize for how you hurt that person. When you recognize that you were the problem, you might have to apologize to that person. If you can't apologize to that person, you might have to write it down and seal it up in a letter. Whether you can mail it off or you can just write it out to get your emotions out. You know, Sometimes we have to apologize for the mistakes we made. If you were into you had a substance abuse problem and you hurt a lot of people with your substance abuse, and you're moving forward and you're healing and you're going to rehab and you're bettering yourself, but you damage a lot of people and a lot of friendships and a lot of family members along the way. You might have to apologize to people. Sometimes people don't want to hear you out when you apologize to them. And for those people who don't want to hear you out, write them a letter. If they don't want to read your letter, just write it to purge yourself, to get it out of your system so that you can forgive yourself. The other side of it, forgiving yourself because you made mistakes. We're all human. We all mess up. We all go through things, and we do things that we're ashamed of, and we have to forgive ourselves for being the person that we didn't want to be because of whatever reason it was. If you were ignorant in a relationship, if you were verbally abusive as a boss and you cross lines, or you didn't acknowledge an employee that deserved acknowledgement because they were working their butt off and you treated them like crap, or you took advantage of them, and now you lost them as an employee. You might have to forgive yourself for being a jerk. I'm trying not to cuss, but I was thinking another word. But you might have to forgive yourself for that. You might have to forgive somebody else for the way they treated you. And you don't have to tell somebody that you forgive them for being a crappy person towards you. But if you hold on to the emotion or the feeling of the pain or the hurt or the damage that they did to you, and you consistently let that ride you or let that overwhelm you, you can't let that go. You don't know how to heal from it, therefore you carry it with you forever. So when somebody else does something to you, you go back to that place. Or if somebody else tries to do right by you, but you can't trust them or believe them because you're still taunted by something else. But if you forgive them and you let the situation go, it helps you. And it's a process. It takes therapy. It takes time. It takes talking. It takes healing. You can't forgive somebody tomorrow for some stuff that they did to you today. That's not going to work, but, it helps to let things go and to move on. You don't have to forget, it's hard to forget damage that somebody's done to you. If it's trauma, like a sexual abuse things, that somebody took advantage of you and your innocence or your naivety or whatever it was, that happened to you. you know you don't have to forget what happened because it's not okay. Trauma is not okay. Somebody hurting you is not okay, but it heals you when you forgive them. So again, apologize, forgive, and accept. Learn to accept whichever one comes to you. You don't have to forget, but you know it helps heal you when you accept these situations. um Again, with these things, a therapist can help you heal through these things the right way. I can give advice all day about certain things, but I am not professionally trained, and I can't tell you the right way to get past certain things. um I've been through my traumas, and I know a lot of people who've been through their traumas, and who are younger or much older than I am, who still have trouble getting past situations that they've gone through. So it takes time to heal. Okay, it does. Trauma doesn't just go away. PTSD doesn't just go away. It takes time, and it's okay. Okay. Um, Step 9 and 10 contradicts the heck out of itself. So I'm gonna say it, and you use this advice to how it works for you. Okay. Step 9, get a support buddy. Um, when you're making life changes, big changes with yourself, with your life, sometimes we need help. We need somebody who can encourage us to keep on going, to keep on moving, to keep on pushing forward. Because sometimes we just give up. Sometimes we stumble and just like stop believing in ourselves. I have several times a day where I wake up and I'm just like, why am I trying to do this? Why do I think that this is a good idea? Why do I think that I can help people? Or why do I think that I'm so great and stuff like that? And I have a great support system, people who listen to me talk or give advice or, let me bake for them and eat my desserts and like, oh man, this is great, or oh, what you made is pretty, or something like that. Whatever it is that I'm doing, when I say I'm on a diet and, I go out and get fast food the next day, people are still there supporting me and saying, yeah, it's okay. You got this. You're going to get this. You're going to get this figured out. So get you a good support buddy, a support system to stand by you. And maybe you can support that person that way, they're helping you with your diet and walking with you or running with you when you're exercising and stuff like that. And maybe, they need support because they're in school and they need somebody to help them study, or they're trying to find a new career and they need somebody to be the person that, gives them the recommendation for that job that they need, whatever it is, support on both ends with whatever you're going through helps a lot. And number 10, the contradiction. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody when you're making a change. Especially if it's something dramatic, like if you're in a toxic situation, you have to get away and you've been saving up secretly to get away from your situation, and you're moving far away, or you're changing your name or your identity or whatever like that, and you don't need anybody to know so that they can't somebody can't track you down, or so that you don't have problems or whatever like that. Sometimes you don't need to tell people what you're doing. Sometimes it's better to keep your information to yourself. Even if it's not a toxic situation, if it's the diet, if it's the career change, if it's, working on finding a new home, you're starting over and you're going from an apartment to a house or whatever like that. Sometimes you don't need to tell people, because you tell somebody that you're living in your apartment for so long and you're trying to buy a house, then people know you're saving up money and they ask you to borrow money. Or, you tell somebody that you're trying to move and all of a sudden now they're hating on you and saying like, why are you trying to move? Like, why are you trying to better yourself? Or why are you like, this place ain't good enough for you because they live right next to you, and so it's good enough for me but not good enough for you, or you just have to have better or something like that. People might down you because you're trying to do better for yourself. Or again, like I said, the dieting thing, they down you because you're struggling with your diet, or they down you because, you have a substance abuse problem and you're trying to get over this and go to rehab and better yourself, but you've gone to rehab 5 times and you failed all 5 times, or you've gotten in trouble, you've done a lot of things, and you you're not succeeding at this. And so now people are just not believing in you. And sometimes that negative energy just makes you think, well, if nobody else believes in me, why should I believe in myself? I'm trying to switch careers and trying to become a nurse, even though I was just a fast food worker, but now I'm trying to be a doctor or something like that. And, oh, well, you're in your 40s. It's going to take, 20 years to get the degree that you want. And you ain't really that smart anyways, but you're trying to reach for these dreams. And I don't think you can do it. People give a lot of negative energy, and it hurts. It hurts sometimes. It drags you down, and you don't need that. So sometimes you don't need to tell people what you're doing. Maybe you need to filter through who you tell something, and maybe you have to tell somebody, don't tell other people, or maybe you just keep it to yourself altogether. That's where the life coach or the therapist comes in, where you talk to just them and you tell them what you're doing and the moves that you're making forward, because they will support you. Yes, they get paid to support you, but they will support you and they will guide you and they will motivate you and they will keep you going through these things and move forward through these things, so that you can do what you need to do for yourself and not give up on you. So just decide what is best for you, whether you need a support buddy or you need to keep the stuff to yourself. It's good either way to do. Water break to do. Not everybody needs to know your business, and not everybody, people. Sometimes people don't know that they're giving you negative energy. Sometimes people don't realize that they're hurting you when they say certain things. Sometimes it is their fault, but not all the time it's their fault. People don't always try to drag you down, but the smallest comment can just alter your whole mindset, and you don't always need that. So keep it to yourself if you need to. You know your people, the people who are surrounding you, and if you tell somebody something about something and they give you negative energy, then don't give them the opportunity anymore. Period. All right. That is my 10-step plan to starting over. Okay. So again, reflect on, what you want to do and what you want to change. Work on the courage to change and give yourself permission to change. Um, Research your next move, see what you're trying to do and how to move forward. Find yourself a coach, life coach, and or therapist. Check in with yourself to make sure that's still something that you're trying to do. Start living your life. Do what you want to do, how you want to do it, and don't worry about what anybody else says. Do what you want to do, how you want to do it. It's your life to live, okay, people? So come on. 8, apologize. I skipped a number in here. 7 was come up with a plan for your next move or your next chapter. I'm sorry. I'm a horrible counter. I totally skipped a move. 7, come up with a plan for your next chapter. Write it out. Write it out. Make a list of things you want to do, how you want to do it. Check it off. Get your to-do list and check it off so that you're going along the right path. 8, apologize, forgive, and accept. If you did something that you shouldn't have did and you hurt somebody, apologize for it. Forgive the person who did garbage to you and hurt you. You don't have to forget what they did. You never have to forget. It's hard to forget a lot of things, but sometimes it's okay. It helps to forgive them so that you can heal, and accept whatever situation, apology, or forgiveness, and that comes with a therapist. And I know that a lot of you are like, I ain't forgiving somebody for doing da to me or whatever like that. And again, I'm not a trained professional, guys. I'm giving you advice on what I know or what I've gone through, but I can't tell you how to live your life. Step 9. Get a support buddy, somebody who can boost you up, somebody can cheer you on. Hey girl, you know what? I went to the store and I went and drove right past McDonald's and I did not get that meal that I wanted, or I didn't supersize. I got a small instead of a large. You know what? Good for you, sis. You did it. Okay, you could have supersized, but you didn't. That's my best friend. Or that's my support buddy. I want somebody who's going to hype me up even when the small successes, sound dumb. I want a support buddy who's going to support me with the dumb stuff. I drank water, 8 gallons of water a day, and then I drank a soda. Well, good for you for drinking the 8 gallons of water. Skip on the soda. But I see you. I want somebody who sees me when I have a support buddy. All the small things. Or step 10, don't tell anybody. Keep your business to yourself. And then when you get there, then you can tell people, okay, we can celebrate together. But until then, I'm keeping my business to myself. Those are all 10 steps that I have for starting over. It's It's a process. It takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day, or at least that's what they keep telling me. Um, so starting over, it's not going to happen in a day. Bettering yourself, making changes, it doesn't happen in a day. It's a process. It's a struggle. But as long as you don't give up on yourself, as long as you don't stop trying, then you will be fine. So that is it on that. I don't really have an outro to this. So I'm going to end with a story. Story time. Um, this is my stormy weather story for the day. Um, okay, so when I don't know, I was young, like 8 or 9 years old, maybe between 8 and 12. Um, we was at I was at home, parents' house, and it was storming really bad. Like really bad. Like the lights went out and it was dark, scary, lightning, thunder, just crashing craziness. And me and my brothers, my two brothers, I have two brothers, we were in the living room um, with my mom sitting on the couch, and she was trying her best to, make us feel brave, which is crazy to me because she hates storms. She hates thunder, the lightning, the crashing. She hates it. So she's literally here shaking, going through it. And we are sitting here, listening to her by candlelight, and she's telling us stories, and she's trying to make us feel better and telling us, it's just storm and it's just the rain, and it's not bad. Um, Meanwhile, my dad is on our porch sitting outside because he is the opposite of my mother. He loved storms. He thought it was beautiful. He loved the calming of it, because, after a storm comes sun, but while it's storming, you get to hear the thunder, you got to see the lightning, and it's beautiful and all that jazz. So he's out on the porch, he's having a Budweiser, he's having a good old time. And my mom is just like, come inside, William, WD. My dad name was William, and she's like, come inside. And he's like, no, leave me alone, woman. Like, leave me alone, mind your business. I'm good. Just because you're scared doesn't mean I gotta be scared. So, we're out in the living room, freaking out about the storm. It's dark, candles, whatever. So then all of a sudden we hear this crash, like this big old like lightning flashes, and it's just like really bright for a second, and then it gets really dark and you hear boom. And we all was just like, because like the boom, like it literally something made us jump out of our seats. Like it was just, you know, so we're like, oh my gosh, what was that? And all I hear is my mother screaming, wow, wow, wow. Oh my God. She runs off to the porch, and um, that's about where my memory fades. Because again, I'm young. Okay, I'm maybe 8 years old. I'll say that because I guess I blocked out some of the story out of my mind, so I was told the rest of the story later. Um, but I just remembered my mom screaming and yelling for my dad, and eventually my dad came inside. But I didn't know what happened when I was younger or what happened that night. I just knew that my mom was really freaked out. So the next day, we go off to school, and we caught the bus in the back of our house. So we go out like the back door and go to the bus stop, and we go off and go to school, live our best lives and stuff like that. And a lot of people kept asking me while I was at school, like, are you okay? Is your family okay? How are you guys doing? And I'm looking like, why do these people keep asking me if I'm okay? Like, I'm good, like, what's up? And I was so weirded out by that. And eventually somebody showed me a newspaper article, and on the newspaper article there was a picture of the front of my house, and there was a tree that was fell over the tree that was in front of my house for as long as I can remember, and it had fell over and crushed the front of the porch on my house. And like where the tree was is literally where my dad was sitting. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, when did this happen? I had no idea. So nevertheless, I get home later and I see, visually the trees on top of our roof. The stairs are all broken. The porch is just destroyed. And I'm asking my mom, like, what the heck happened? And she's like, well, when the storm happened that night, the lightning hit the tree fell on the porch, and your dad was sitting right there. And she told me, because I asked her again the story because I needed to understand what happened. She's like, the tree branches were so close that it was like this far from your dad's chest, like it could have pierced him. Like the man could have died that night, if not from a smushed tree, a piercing like a vampire from the tree branch. And she screamed her lungs out for him to come in. And she said he just looked at her like, what? And laughed. And I was like, wow, the power of Budweiser is amazing because my dad was not fazed at all. And I remember hearing the story here and there later in life. And just him talking about that and how he was unbothered, and he still till the end of his days loved storms, sat on the porch whenever it stormed, whether there was a tree out there that could have got him or not. He just loved a stormy day. And that's probably why my podcast is called Stormy Weather Podcast, because I'm the same way. If it's storming, if it's raining, I love it. I want the windows open. I want to hear it. If I can be outside on the porch or the patio or whatever to just watch the storm and the rain fall and the lightning and listen to the thunder, I love it. It calms me. And it also reminds me that after the worst storms, after the rain falls and the trees fall and the lightning strikes, eventually the sun comes out and shines. And sometimes there's a rainbow, and sometimes, it's just beautiful. The rain will dry up and the trees will get cleaned up and everything like that. But we always make it through these storms. So with that, I'm Sarah with the H, and the H stands for hello, because I'm trying to get your attention. And we will talk next time. Until then, keep smiling. He confuses people.